Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Volume 1, Chapter 1. "My dear Mr. Bennet," said his wife to him one day, "have you heard that Netherfield Park is to be let at last?" Mr. Bennet did not answer. "Mrs. Long says it has been taken by a young man of large fortune from the north of England." "What is his name? Is he married or single?" asked Mr. Bennet. "His name is Bingley. He is single, to be sure. What a fine thing for our girls!" "How so? How can it affect them?" "Oh, must you be so tiresome? Naturally, I am thinking that he should marry one of them. You must go and visit him upon his arrival." "You can go yourself. I shall write him a note, telling him he can marry any one of them he pleases, although I must put in a good word for Lizzie." "Why would you do that? She is no better than the others. She is not half so handsome as Jane, nor half so good-humoured as Lydia. I do not know why Lizzie is your favourite," replied Mrs. Bennet. Mr. Bennet was an odd fellow, with a sarcastic sense of humour. After 23 years of marriage, Mrs. Bennet still did not understand him well, but then she was not especially clever. Chapter 2. Although Mr. Bennet liked to tease his wife that he would not visit Mr. Bingley, he was one of the first to do so, and only told Mrs. Bennet about it the evening after the visit. Watching his daughter decorate a hat, he suddenly said, "I hope Mr. Bingley will like it, Lizzie." "How shall we ever know what he likes?" cried Mrs. Bennet angrily, "since we are not to visit." Mr. Bennet ignored his wife, and addressed his daughter. "When is the next ball to be, Lizzie?" "Tomorrow fortnight." "So it is," said Mrs. Bennet. "But of course, thanks to you, our girls have no way of getting to know him. Oh, I am sick of Mr. Bingley." "I'm sorry to hear that," said Mr. Bennet. "If only you had told me, I would not have called on him this morning." Just as he had hoped, all the ladies in the room were astonished and delighted. "What an excellent father you have, girls!" exclaimed Mrs. Bennet, after Mr. Bennet had left the room. Chapter 3. 2 weeks later, the day of the Meryton ball arrived. Mr. Bingley was there with his 2 sisters, as well as the husband of one of them, Mr. Hurst, and another young man, Mr. Darcy. Mr. Bingley was good-looking and gentlemanlike, though the ladies thought his friend Mr. Darcy was more handsome. However, they soon discovered that Mr. Darcy was rude and proud, and after that they did not like him so much. Mr. Bingley danced every dance, and was friendly to everyone. Mr. Darcy, however, danced only one with each of Mr. Bingley's sisters, and refused to speak to any of the other ladies, who disliked him greatly, especially Mrs. Bennet. Elizabeth had to sit down for 2 of the dances because she had no partner. During this time, she overheard a conversation between Mr. Darcy and Mr. Bingley. "Come, Darcy, I hate to see you standing by yourself. You must have a dance." "Certainly not. You know how I detest it. Your sisters are engaged, and I refuse to dance with any other woman here." "Do not be so fussy," cried Bingley. "I have never seen so many pretty girls in all my life." "You are dancing with the only handsome girl in the room," said Mr. Darcy, looking at Jane. Oh, she is the most beautiful girl I ever saw. But look, one of her sisters is sitting just behind you, and she is also very pretty. She is not handsome enough for me, said Mr. Darcy coldly. Return to your partner and enjoy her smiles. Do not waste your time with me. Hearing this did not improve Elizabeth's opinion of Mr. Darcy. Chapter 4. By contrast, Jane very much admired Mr. Bingley. I was so flattered when he asked me for a second dance, she told Elizabeth. Why are you so surprised? You are 5 times as pretty as any other woman in the room, replied Elizabeth. Well, he is very agreeable. I can see why you like him. But his sisters do not have such good manners as he does. They are very nice when you get to know them, said Jane. Miss Bingley is coming to live with her brother, and I believe she will be a charming neighbour. Chapter 5. Elizabeth did not find Mr. Bingley's sisters so charming on the next few occasions when they met, but she could see that Mr. Bingley admired Jane. She also knew how Jane admired Mr. Bingley, but knew that nobody else was aware of this, since Jane kept this quiet, and was cheerful and friendly towards everybody. She mentioned this to her friend Charlotte Lucas. If she conceals her affection too much, Bingley may think she does not like him at all, warned Charlotte. She does not see him so often. She must make the most of every half-hour she is in his company. She will have enough time to fall in love with him once she is secure of him. Your plan is a good one, replied Elizabeth, but it is not Jane's plan to find a rich husband. She has only known him a fortnight. That makes no difference, said Charlotte. Happiness in marriage is entirely a matter of chance. It is better to know as little as possible about your future husband. You make me laugh, Charlotte, but you know you would never act in this way yourself, said Elizabeth.